All right. Jesse on fire. How are you guys? Listen, now what are you doing talking about Simone Biles? She's an American hero. Okay. You can't say she's the dumbest athlete in America when she's brought home so many gold medals. This is sacrilege. Well, I think I'm going to point you guys in the direction of some interesting comments that she made today that are potentially going to impact your opinion of her IQ because it is significantly lower than you would have anticipated. I mean, listen, I don't know. When I see Simone Biles and I go, clearly a world-class athlete that has been training to be a world-class athlete her entire life, you kind of just have to speculate on the amount of time that was spent on hitting the books and building other types of intelligence, right? And after today, I think I have the answer. And the answer was, if it did not, equate to twisting and spinning in the air, she did not pay attention because she clearly is an absolute moron. Okay, so we're going to talk about what's going on with Simone Biles today because she has some interesting ideas about athletics in America and trans participation, and she had an interesting way of sharing her opinion on that. So yeah, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Yeah. Hey, everybody knows. Hey, everybody knows. You guys know if I'm wearing a new pair of sunglasses that you've never even seen before, it's about to get crazy. Crazy. So I'm going to take you on a little trip. 15 minutes ago in my house, I finished a Wes Watson video. UFC starts in a little while. Early prelims are in half an hour. And I'm like, God, I just feel like going live, but I need a topic that enables me to be sarcastic and make fun of people. Like, I don't know. I haven't heard anything like that yet. I go over to X and the first story I see is trending. Simone Biles goes to war with Riley Gaines over the trans participation in sports. And I was like, hang on. Are you a gold medalist, Olympic athlete who's never lost, as far as I know, in Olympic competition and as in an individual sport, except when she quit in Japan because she wasn't allowed to take her Adderall. Aside from that, she's going to advocate for all the other girls to have to compete against dudes? Like, there's no way, right? There's no way, right? But rest assured, you guys, she did defend her position really well, though. Like, when I saw, what she said, I was like, wow. What is anyone going to say back to this genius take? Like, poke a hole in her logic, you guys. Okay? It's about inclusion. Now, I'm going to read this to you, and then we're going to kind of go through the sequence of events of how this happened. And then I'm going to let you guys guess what the ratio is, I already talked about this. Okay? I talked about this yesterday. And the people who are hoping to hear about how Donald Trump's dirty on the Epstein list are going to not like the next video I do, because guess what, dude? We got a definitive answer on that, and one that is absolutely bulletproof credible, coming from the attorney who represented all of the Epstein victims in the 2009 case. So, yeah, Trump is definitely 100% not dirty on Epstein, but I talked about it before, but we're going to, we'll talk about it in the future. Nonetheless, the only reason I bring it up right now is because I have a feeling that the Simone Biles defenders and the people who think that Riley Gaines is a dirty bigot are not going to like to hear that. And so I am definitely intentionally, just, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, let's get into it. All right. So if you guys are not familiar with who Riley Gaines is, okay? So Riley Gaines is right here, and I'm not following her. I'm embarrassed. I'll follow Simone Biles too. So let's just actually take a look. Okay, so Riley Gaines was a college athlete. Okay, she's a swimmer, and some of you may have heard a couple years ago, there was a new NCAA champion in quite a few different events. And there were a few things that stuck out that were different about this athlete. One of them being that they had a huge cock and were swimming in the women's division. And the reason that I know about their unit is because the girls on that person's team were forced to change in the same locker room with them, 18 years old. We're in high school 5 minutes ago. We're forced to change. And Leah, who was a dude, very recently, was still attracted to women, and everyone knew. And so, when the girls were getting naked in the locker room, having to shimmy their little athletic naked bodies into their bathing suits, Leah was hard as a rock. And when those girls went to Penn State to discuss their, what's the right way, them being uncomfortable with the situation, Penn State took the position of offering them therapy so that they could root out their deep-rooted transphobia. So just to go over that one more time, okay, girls that were in high school within 12 months ago, were put in a situation where they had to get butt naked in front of what was also 12 months ago a 6'4" man who was attracted to women. And while he pulled his penis out while he's changing, the girls were expected to get butt naked in front of him, right? And then when they talked to the school about it, they were like, "We are deeply disturbed by your transphobia. You're all transphobia. That's where you're going with this." They're like, "Yes, teenage girls need to get used to the new world where if men want to be in the locker room and watch them bend over butt naked, all they have to do is say, 'My name's Leah now.' And that's allowed." Now, in addition to being forced to get naked in the locker room with them, they also had to compete against, Leah. And Leah demolished the competition, won a race by 40 seconds at one point. So Riley Gaines is a swimmer who I believe was the national meet, ended up getting 4th place because Leah, solid as a rock Leah, you ask, I will say this, anybody I asked about Leah from the team, they all had very good things to say. They said, solid as a rock. That's a bad joke. But yeah, so Leah placed ahead of Riley Gaines, and thus she was bumped off the podium and was not, didn't get her moment to shine. Trained her entire life for this, collegiate championship. And instead of being on the podium, which she deserved, she was not on the podium because these woke psychos allowed a man who was 6'4", right? And had become a woman like very recently, and that person took her place. So Riley Gaines, the actual female, went out and started speaking about this issue, right? Now, I am intentionally, so if, for the record, on YouTube, Leah is a she, you guys, okay? I don't want to have any issues with YouTube, so Leah is a she from now on, but just so we're clear, when I say Leah and she, we are talking about a person with an intact penis, okay? So make of that what you will. Words don't matter anymore. Words mean nothing. So anyway, Riley Gaines started going out and just speaking about this issue since it had directly affected her, and stole a moment and an achievement that she had deserved. So her shockingly, listen, when I think of divisive messages, right? Divisive messages that everyone should know are going to be a big lightning rod, this shit is just going to divide people right down the middle. I always go to, should we allow men to just compete in the female division? It's like, well, obviously that's going to split the population in half. You're all, really? It's going to split the population up. Yes. Because one half of the population still lives in reality, And the other side is so concerned about people's opinion of them that they've been brainwashed into believing that opposing, like being like for that is the opinion that keeps them safest. And as Simone Biles has found out today, that was an incorrect assumption. You should have just stayed the fuck out of the conversation, Simone Biles, okay, for a number of reasons. But certainly, if you were going to enter the conversation, you definitely don't want to be on the side of, yeah, we should let the dudes compete against the girls, as she found out the hard way. So we are going to go ahead and get into that right now. Choke Dealer, what's up, dude? This stuff always makes you think about the South Park episode where Macho Man Randy Savage was beating up all the girls. Yes, exactly. I mean, the Leah Thomas situation is crazier than that because of the locker room thing. Like, it is like the competition-wise, it's that insane. But the reason I always default to the story about the locker rooms and the girls is because you're not just talking about like, oh, let's just beat the girls in sports. You're talking about essentially like borderline sexual assault. Borderline, like in all seriousness. Imagine if just like some coach, some dude coach who was the male coach of the swimming team just walked into the changing room, and all the time when the girls were changing, he just stood there and was like, go ahead. I just want to make sure that the suit fits your body right. Ooh, looks like that's going to be hard for you to get into. Shimmy that little body. Here, let me put some oil on you. It'll make it a little bit easier to slide on your body. And they're like, so we don't feel comfortable because we're like butt naked, and our male coach, he's always in there staring at us while we're naked. And they're all, you ladies need to get a hold of yourselves. Okay. Grow up. This is college. And if men want to come into the locker room and watch you naked and oogle your body, you need to get over it. Okay. Otherwise, you're the problem. You're the problem, ladies. It's just one of those things where like, hey, good luck defending that, guys. Hey, Simone Biles, go ahead, defend that, dude. Go ahead. Leah Thomas, right? Attracted to women. Intact penis. 6'4", changing in the same room. You're down with that? You think that's a good idea? Is that what creates a safe space for women? I thought we're about safe spaces. That doesn't sound very safe to me, Jeremy Wilson, thank you very much for the super chat. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, my man, but thank you for the super chat. Trump is a total winner and Elon is a total loser. What a shame, frankly. I mean, they're both winners. It's just they, like Elon apparently wanted to burn his relationship with the president of the United States into the ground. Very bizarre. Very, very poor strategy, in my opinion. I don't know what was going on. Jeremy Wilson, thank you for the super chat. I can't believe Simone said, pick on someone your own size when Riley is 5'5" and Leah is 6'4". Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? I think more so, though, what's interesting about this entire thing is the fact that Simone Biles is literally the most gifted female athlete of her generation, and she's never had to compete against a guy, like all these gold medals, never had to compete against a guy. Like, I wonder if Simone Biles would feel different about this issue if suddenly the Olympic body was like, yeah, if you feel like a woman and you, go on hormones for 1 year, then yeah, you could compete against the girls. And suddenly she's getting silver to a person who was a dude 12 months ago, like was happening to Riley Gaines. I wonder if she would share the same opinion. She's all, listen, guys, trans inclusion is the most important thing in the world. You're all really at the expense of your gold medals. She's all, what? You're all at personal expense to you. I don't understand the question. Oh, I know you don't. I'm saying, like, would you be willing to sacrifice your own earned victories to help trans inclusion? I don't think that this is even a relevant topic. Oh, you don't think it's a relevant question? Because you're attacking a girl who had that happen to her. And you, because you're more talented and can't relate to losing to anyone, are saying that you think that she's wrong and she's a sick monster. Okay. Genius, dude. Sergey, bro, I hope O'Malley takes Marab. Me too, dude. Okay, but I love Marab too, man. All right, let me get into this. So, I'm sorry. Let me go back to Simone. All right, so here's Simone Biles. Okay, these are her very well thought out, brilliant thoughts about Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines, you are wait, what? Comments off. Oh, here we go. So Riley Gaines commented on here because there's a dude on the girls, AAA softball state champions with, trans girls on the team. So Riley Gaines says, comments off, to be expected when your star player is a boy. Right. So Simone Biles was like, you know what? I've got something for you, Riley Gaines. Okay. You need to shut your right wing trap. Okay. Riley Gaines, you are truly sick. All of this campaigning because you lost a race. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. Maybe a transgender category in all sports, but instead you bully them. One thing's for sure is no one in sports is safe with you around. It's like, I mean, you said some like not terrible ideas here, right? But except that, so look, finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. Okay. Maybe a transgender category in all sports. Hey, that's not the worst idea I've ever heard. Not at all. Good idea, Simone. But wait, why did I not even get to that part of the sentence? Oh, right. It's because you said you're truly sick and you're campaigning because you lost a race, straight up sore loser. And you're like, So, yeah. No, she's not sick. She's also not a sore loser because she didn't lose, because she shouldn't have been competing against this gigantic person who is, a lady. Dude looks like a lady. So, yeah. I mean, listen, honestly, when you actually read what she said, it's not the worst. It's just that, she can't help herself because she's obviously a wokester. And, so she had to come in combative. So here was mine. I said, woman who has never lost to a biological man calls female activist who got beat by a 6'4" dude in the women's division sick for advocating that women compete against women. Simone is going to get eviscerated on this. And guess what, guys? That. Okay. So let's Riley Gaines actually commented. She responded, as I believe I understand it. Let's see if there's been any new action. You're making too much sense. Oh, wait, here we go. Hey, Simone Biles, your husband, J.J. Owens, plays in the NFL. Do you believe it would be fair for him to play on the U.S. women's flag football team in the 2028 Olympics? Because that is what you are currently arguing in favor of. Yeah, it's like Simone Biles once took part in a body positivity campaign where she spoke positively about her muscles in an effort to inspire young girls to love their bodies. Yesterday, she said Riley Gaines looks like a man because Gaines opposes boys in girl sports. Here, let's see. Let's listen to this.
Question I wish people would stop asking me is, how tall are you? Are you going to grow? I'm not going anywhere. I'm 4'8". I'm stuck. I'm Simone Biles, and I love my body.
Oh, dude, she's like cute, man. See, this is something for everybody to keep in mind. Okay. People say stupid shit on Twitter, but then if you actually talk to them, most of the time they're pretty cool. It's just one of those things like if you're one of the most highly decorated athletes in America and you say something this idiotic, actually, she didn't even say anything that idiotic. She actually had some good ideas. But if you attack people who are activists, who are being activists on behalf of girls in sports, and you're like, she's the enemy because you know why? I don't know. Because trans are awesome. You're all okay. No one is attacking trans people. We're saying trans women who are biological men should not be competing against females in sports. This is not a fucking fight that you want to take public, dude, because this little sweetheart is now going to become the enemy of a lot of people who otherwise would just be like, Simone Biles, oh yeah, great gymnast. She can never wash this off, dude. Like, you can never wash this off. Woke is dead. It's like mega dead. Okay. It's like, it's already dead and dying, but like, it's going to get much worse. And the more people try to, jump and resurrect it. You're not going to resurrect it. You're just going to attach yourself to the dying carcass that is woke, and you are going to have your, likability publicly die along with it. So maybe she should take it back.
Because it helps with gymnastics and it teaches younger girls to love their body.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I think I probably just demonetized this entire live stream because of that stupid music in the background, which is unbelievable, dude. So we're not going to play that. Hey, you guys, what is Coco Gauff, the woman you are? Like, I'm sorry. That's her. 21-year-old French Open champion, it looks like. Amazing. USA Today says there's no scientific evidence that men have a physical advantage over women, dude. Oh my God. She says, I cannot understand for the life of me why they didn't try to quietly leave the issue in 2024, but by all means, continue on. Okay. So it says, this is a real paragraph published in USA in this USA Today piece. There is no scientific evidence that transgender women athletes have a physical advantage over cisgender women athletes, but that hasn't stopped Gaines from claiming they do. She insists they are, quote, robbing cisgender women of places on the podium. And she doesn't care if it's a 12 or 22-year-old that she's putting in harm's way in this overheated climate where ignorance and violence are celebrated equally. Dude, okay. In all seriousness, I am going to remove the sarcasm for a second and tell you, I need to say this in very serious form. This is the most reprehensible, vomit-inducing horse shit that these fucking people do. Okay. They are so pathetic. You can't, first of all, your position is that there's no scientific evidence that transgender women have an advantage. Okay. A, yeah, fucking right. But B, and your next thing is that a person who disagrees with your obviously incorrect position you're instead of just being she's arguing a point that there's no scientific evidence for, you're and she is going to get them fucking killed. She's going to get them killed. She doesn't care if they're 12. She doesn't care if they're 22. Her bringing this up, that they are trans athletes against women, she's trying to get them murdered by these lunatic MAGA people. You're okay, literally nothing you've said in this is true. Okay. A, there's no scientific evidence that transgender women athletes have a physical advantage. So I'm assuming you're not much of an athlete, huh? Or did you grow up in a broom closet? Did they just you saw the world through some weird woke, screen that they fed you your whole life, and then they just let you out? You haven't been out in the world. You haven't run anywhere fast or watched how fast other people run, it's oh yeah, obviously the men's world record is better than every women's world record in every sport in the history of the world. I can't even believe I'm having this conversation. I usually refuse to even have this, this conversation. But then you're saying that a person who argues the other way, she's putting in harm's way in this overheated climate where ignorance and violence are celebrated equally. Celebrated, she said. I didn't even read that the first time correctly. Celebrated. Oh, you guys know a lot of people who celebrate when, a trans person has been attacked or whatever. When someone, you really believe, okay, so here, hey, I'm being very crystal clear with you, USA Today psycho, okay? I disagree with you, okay? I think there's plenty of scientific evidence that proves that men have a gigantic advantage over women. And if you're transgender athletes don't because you're all really, how about Leah Thomas would be a good place to start? Met all the guidelines at the time. The NCAA won a race by 40 fucking seconds. That may as well be 2 years in swimming. 40 seconds. Okay. Give me a break. And I'm telling you, I have 3 daughters. I'm concerned. I don't ever want them competing against dudes. I won't let my daughters compete against dudes in jiu-jitsu over, like, my oldest daughter now is 12. Like, she's not competing against dudes. I'll let my younger ones, like if they're like 7 or 8 years old. But even after like just 10 years old, it's like, nope, no more boys, because they're going to get hurt. She's going to get hurt potentially. Okay. Do you think that I am going to celebrate if some trans athlete was attacked and hurt? Of course not. I'm not a psycho like you, person. Violence and ignorance are celebrated equally. It's embarrassing, dude. It's exactly the same thing. It's like when they go into these, any parent that has gone through the the gender transition process with these like psychiatrists, they go in there and their kid is like, I think, their autistic kid in many cases is like, I feel like I'm a girl, mommy. Or I feel like I talked to the therapist and I think I'm actually a girl. And the mom is like, no, you're autistic, dude. You need to I brought you to this therapist so they can talk you through whatever you're going through. You're not trans. Okay. You're depressed and autistic. Okay. The reason you're here is so they can help you work through whatever this thing is. And instead, the therapist validates this fantasy land that this person is having. I'm not saying it's not real. Like, it's real sometimes, but in like the explosion in gender transitions is due to the like conveyor belt nature of it. And what they do is they're like, can I speak to your mother alone? Okay, I'm going to go out there and do autistic things. And the therapist will say to the parents, they'll be like, so if you don't want your child to commit suicide, you need to get on board with this. Okay. The rate of children unaliving themselves, if they are not having their needs met once they have come out with this big secret, is astronomically high. And what are you going to do? You're a parent. Okay. Like, listen, to be clear, there are certain types of people who are going to tell that therapist to take that idiotic idea and go shove it down their own throat. But a lot of people subscribe to the worldview that there are experts and they need to like defer their opinion, always defer to experts. Okay. Like I am actually in that category as long as I have vetted and validated the expertise of the person. If a therapist tells me like, hey, if you don't do this crazy thing that your autistic kid says that needs to happen, that's irreversible and will permanently destroy like parts of their body, then they're probably going to, I'm like, yeah, that's an insane thing to say. And no, we're just not going to be seeing you anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, so this is the exact same thing. They always bring it to, if you say this, the kid's gonna die. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. To Simone Biles, these women are manly, but this guy is a beautiful woman. Yeah, dude. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you might even think that was just a man. But since we're all enlightened, we all know that, in fact, is a beautiful woman who just happens to have a penis and is attracted to other women and wants to change in the changing room with the naked teenagers, so, I mean, listen, dude, you want to compete against girls? Chop it, dude. Full commitment. I mean, we could talk then. I mean, I still won't support it, but like, at least at least we know it's just not some creep who is like a fetish person and is doing this because they're like a mental case who wants to see lots of girls naked and then like is getting off on this whole thing, because I heard some pretty disturbing things about some of the groups and conversations that Leah Thomas was in that would indicate maybe doesn't have the traditional sexual preferences that some people do, like people are into some weird stuff, man, and this beautiful woman over here is one of them. Oh man, it's amazing. So anyway, let's go back and let's see what else Simone Biles said, because again, I I don't understand how we're still having this conversation, dude. I am blown away by this, you know? So she's 4'8", which actually makes me feel really bad. Like that's when I said it was like 4'8". I'm like, oh, I can't be that mean. She's a tiny little girl, dude. And she says, bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a male. Ooh, that cuts deep. Wow. Let's see how she's how the ratio looks on this though. So she has how many 37 million views, 190,000 likes. Okay. So let's see what everybody else is saying. Riley Gaines said, this is actually so disappointing. It's not my job or the job of any woman to figure out how to include men in our spaces. You can uplift men stealing championships in women's sports with your platform. Men don't belong in women's sports. And I say that with my full chest. That's right, dog. And then look, and just like that, you're no longer a role model for little girls. The thing is, what's so fucking crazy about this is Simone Biles actually did not even advocate for like men to be competing against women. If you actually read what she said, that's not what she said. That's my point. It's like, why would you have taken up this thing in the first place? And why would, you know what I mean? It's like, just shut your stupid woke mouth, dude. Like, shut up. Shut your dumb mouth. You are going to write a check your ass can't cash, which is exactly what just happened. Okay, Choke Dealer, what's up? Scary movie. Tried to prepare us back in the day. Remember the locker room scene? I don't remember that. We forgot how gnarly that movie is. My wife and like we put it on with our kids, and it took us like 3 minutes to realize like, oh, this is like R-rated for like a bunch of sex shit, and so we turned it off. But you know, Yara, what's up, man? 22-month member, dude. You get VIP, dude. Who I got tonight? I got Marab and Sean. And speaking of beautiful women, okay. Kayla Harrison is the lock bet of the century, but she is like a minus 700 favorite, so you can't make any money anyway. And Sean versus Marab, I have no idea, but Sean has a way better chance of winning this time. I bet on him, but only because I think the odds that he wins are way better than the odds that you're getting betting on him, you know? Wait, hang on. So I know prelims started, dude. It's 5. But you know what? I can do 2 things at once. You know what I mean? And I honestly, I love live streaming on the weekends. I don't know why I love it so much though, dude. It's like I look forward to it. And okay, hang on. Prelims. Let's go. All right. Anyway, okay. So let's continue this. Simone Biles with the worst take ever. Riley has you punching walls right now. Gays against groomers. I don't even need to read theirs. We already know where they're at. People, her statement is not hard to comprehend. She said, stop attacking trans women for being in women's sports and redirecting your energy advocating for trans sports category to get them out of women's sports while not placing. That's actually true, dude. She's not wrong. This chick is not wrong. That is what she said, but she wasn't clear enough, you know? Like she wasn't clear enough. Because it's certain, if you attack Riley Gaines and say she's bullying, like you need to be pretty clear what you're actually saying, because you definitely were unclear. If she would have said, I agree with you that biological men should not be competing against women, but instead of attacking them, why don't we figure out a better solution for them? Then, you know. The reason I don't ever watch along is because I'm going to tell you the 100% truth. Okay. Is because I go to a lot of events and I have a lot of things going on to where I can't commit to doing every single event. And thus I know that YouTube will prioritize channels that stream every single event. My streams will do low numbers and it will hurt me with the algorithm, like the suggestion algorithm after that. It's like, I understand the algorithm really well. And so like people like Guru crushes. He fucking streams every single event. That's why his numbers are so, well, I mean, aside from the fact he's incredibly talented and fucking, you know, he's like really entertaining and talented. And he also does every single event. So like, I can't compete with a person who's going to be doing every single event. And then like you got MMA holes, you got all these channels that do it every time. So my streams, if it's about UFC, will never get prioritized. And then it fucks me later when I start posting videos, you know? Wait, Jesse on UFC, question mark? Ah, one of the newer viewers. My entire channel was nothing but UFC for multiple years. I know right now. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what, I mean, I am watching along. I'm actually going to put it on my iPad though. Anyway, so more people would find you if you team up with Shab. I'm gonna, dude. Shab just moved here. Shab literally just moved. He and I we're having lunch next week. Shab's my boy, dude. Hey Jess, I was born with women's parts. Yeah, dude. Hey, so was I. That 8-inch dick is prosthetic that I be playing with, son. I'm just kidding. Everybody say what's up to Dubs and go follow Dubs though. But yeah, dude, Shab is my guy. If Shab, like, I love that fucking guy. If Shab had 0 subscribers and was just starting and he asked me to fucking do content with him once a week, I would, because he's a good dude. He is that you will not find a person who has ever met Shab in person and does not, like, every person who's ever hung out with him in person is like, dude, he's like a really genuinely, really, really nice guy. He's like, when people were fucking with him so much, I like couldn't understand it. I'm like, where is it? I don't get it. I don't understand at all. Chi-Town Brian, look at you, dude. Gifting memberships. You're the man, dude. You're the man. MMA holes, dude. MMA holes are great too. I really like Chris. Dude. Chris and like, I don't know his wife very well. Like I went on their show a couple times, but like Chris is like, if he and I lived next door to each other, we would be best friends. That's just what it is. You want to hear my take on Nick Diaz? I love the Diaz family. I've got good buddies that are like in their inner circle, and I will always root for the Diaz brothers no matter what. That's my take. And I really, 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 really hope that they do Conor versus Nate Diaz 3, because it just would be so, I mean, like, why? I like it, just free money, dude. Like millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. So if a supposed professional psychologist can't handle seeing male body parts, why would we expect our young female athletes to deal with it? That's an excellent question. You know, like that story. The thing with Leah Thomas in the locker room is, again, I talk about that every single time because it reframes the conversation completely from a conversation about competitive fairness to like sexual victimization. Like that's the level that these woke people will go to. Like, you know what I mean? Like they will take their whatever they think they're doing to the level of victimizing young girls sexually to make sure that they are adhering to the woke ideology. It's fucking insane. Like, it's like actually insane. It is not dissimilar. From like, you know, the test where like the person, it's like they made the people think that they were shocking the person. And it's like, you know, continue with the test. And it's like, it's not real. And they said like 50% of people would shock the person to death because they told them to. Like, I honestly don't think it's very different at all. And yes, Shab is in Austin. He just moved here. He literally just moved here. He lives, he's very close to me. The Milgram experiment. Exactly. Don't you think that that's like, I mean, that's like a good, you know what I mean? Like that's a pretty close, the person that would shock them to death versus the Penn State faculty who told like young, like, dude, I mean, not to be like a fucking weirdo, but it is not outside the realm of possibility that you're talking about like virgin girls that like have never hooked up with a dude really, because they're like, they're college level athletes. You know what I mean? Like these are girls who were all in on the sport that they play. Maybe no dude has ever seen them naked before, ever. You know what I mean? Like ever. They're athletes, like they all in on swimming. And that girl, some innocent girl who's never had a dude put eyes on her naked, goes to the faculty and they're like, Like you know how fucking weird they would have felt, like how I don't know how vulnerable they would have felt like going in there with that topic. They know, and then they're like, I just want to say, like, I really don't feel comfortable being naked in front of Leah. Like, I know she's a woman, but she has a penis. Like they may have never seen a penis that was not their father's either. And the faculty shames that girl, the little fucking innocent 18-year-old girl who doesn't want to be naked in front of a dude or look at a dude's junk. Like, it's psychopathic. It's psychopathic. Indefensible. Unreal, dude. Why can't we put a poll on how many trans men that are really women can compete with men? Wait. Why can we put on a poll? Oh, why can't we put on a poll of how many trans men that are really women can compete with men? I don't really understand the question. Why do they always talk about trans women invading women's sports? If it was fair, the trans men who are women would be dominating men's sports. That is a very bizarre take. It's the opposite. Like, the point is that one gender is biologically stronger, faster, denser bones, etc. Okay. When the girls transition to boys, they get to take testosterone, but you're still like, they're going from the far inferior sex to competing against the boys. Like, you're never going to have a trans man champion in anything. That's not going to happen, dude. Like, that's not going to happen. It won't happen. Won't happen. So hold on. Hey, listen, I'm going to pretend that I don't know. Wait, who's Grinner? Okay. I'm doing this on purpose because I can't make a direct statement about someone like that without that would be risky for me to say that particular person I believe is a man and they should check. But I don't know, man. Grinner is 100% a dude. For some reason, I agree with you. I don't even know what we're talking about. Whoever this Grinner person is a dude. The most suspicious one of like ever. First time I heard that Grinner person talk, I was like, what the fuck? No way. No way. Wait, whoa, what? Nick Diaz was drugged and held against his will in Mexico? I did see that. That Grinner person. Hang on, let me look up this Nick Diaz thing. That's Nick Diaz allegedly drugged, forced confinement in a rehab center. What the hell? Okay, hang on. Let's look at this real quick. For people who don't know who this is, basically you can consider this a friend of the family of mine. Nick Diaz drugged and forcibly taken to a rehab center in Mexico, confined against his will. Oh, forcibly taken to a rehab center in Mexico, confined against his will. Why in Mexico? I wonder if he's going to do Ibogaine or something, but they wouldn't do that if he wasn't agreeing to it. Apparently Nick Diaz has been drugged and kidnapped. Nick has been forcibly taken by his cousin and transported across the border to Mexico, where he is confined in a rehabilitation center, a facility against his will. So like his cousin must have been like, I'm saving his life. He was drugged during this process and has made numerous attempts to escape, but the authorities consistently return him to the facility. Communication with him is severely restricted. I am unable to speak with him or receive updates directly. All information must be relayed through a man named Ruben. Dude, let me check and see if this is true, dude. I wasn't lying about being friends with his inner circle. Hold on. Forcibly drugged and locked in rehab in Mexico. Boop. Nick does not wish to remain at the facility. He desires to return home to California, attend drug rehabilitation program there. He is seeking to understand who has the authority to keep him confined in Mexico against his wishes. No one does, dude. Yeah, where are the trans men competing in men's sports? There actually is a boxer, believe it or not. But you would never know in a million years that it was once a female. That's the weird thing too about people who transition that direction. Is like if they get on testosterone for long enough, like they'll look like a dude. You know, if they get their breasts removed or whatever, and like then they're on testosterone for like multiple 5 years. They become essentially indistinguishable from like before. There's a person. Okay, check this story out. And yes, I'm watching the fights if anybody is curious about that. So, okay, when I grew up, it doesn't matter actually. So there was this person when I was in middle school, right? When I was in 6th grade, there was this group of 8th graders that were like kind of like the gangster kids, you know, like they were the kids that like everybody was like, oh shit, man, those guys, hey, they'll fuck you up, man. They were the ones that everybody knew were like smoking weed and like the girls were blowing the dudes and like, you know, they would beat the shit out of people, whatever. So there was this one person who rolled with them, shaved head, like baggy ass clothes, was dating one of the girls. Like they didn't go to our school. Like, well, some of the girls went to our school, and I was dating a girl who was older than me back then, and like one of her friends was dating this person who was bald. So everyone thought it was a guy, right? And then I found out through the girl that like she was like hooking up with him. And it's like she's a girl. That's a girl. Like that. So like from when this person was like 14 years old, they were living as a dude. This is what I'm saying. Like, I never push back on whether the trans thing is real or not. Like, I know it's real. But so this person was living as a dude all the way back when they were a teenager. Okay. So fast forward 20 years, literally 20 years. Okay. And I was in my hometown, was doing this business deal. Doesn't matter. I had a lot of like a big astronomical thing that I was selling to a restaurant. All right. So like so I go and I'm talking to this person, and they are the manager of this big restaurant that's going to buy all of this stuff that I had from a previous business. And I sit down with them. Like, it's this dude, sleeve tattoo, goatee, whatever. The whole time I was talking to him, I actually know, because I'm really kind of like in tune with people's eyes and like their energy or whatever. And I actually was thinking to myself specifically at the time, I'm like, dude, there's something different about like this guy, this dude, for how he looks, has like really soft, like energy, like soft energy that he's like, it, like puts you at ease versus how you normally would feel with like talking to a dude like him. There's like something about the eyes, whatever. I was like, man, I always really feel like this dude is like listening to me, you know, like we're negotiating a business deal. You know, usually there's kind of like this standoffish, we're going to go back and forth thing. And it was like very bizarre how easy it was. Right. So long story short, that was that same person, the 14-year-old that was a girl living as a dude when they were 14, 20 years later. And when I tell you indistinguishable, I'm talking, I could line that person up with fucking 100, three. I could line him up with 3 dudes. And there is a 0% chance that you would be able to pick them as the trans one. Like they're fucking, he is indistinguishable completely. Like, except for the thing about this dude feels like he's actually listening to me, you know? So that's the only way you can know it's a girl is, you know, a better listener, softer energy, you know? But which is like, fine. I honestly, aside from people pushing kids onto the process of going trans, I have no issue with people who are actually trans doing whatever they want to do. Competing in sports is a completely different fucking ballpark. And it's like, now you push too far and the backlash is going to be biblical. We talked about this in the Pride video, dude. Like, this is your guys' fault. Oh, you're upset. You think it's a bunch of homophobia? Nah, dude. No. Okay. You advocated for fucking puberty blockers for children and drag queen story hour and trans girls beating the shit out of actual girls in sports. You push too far, this is what happens, dude. You know, take the W, you won. But then you push too far and now we're going backwards. It's your fucking fault, you know? Anyway, all right, I'm going to jump off. We've been on long enough. You guys are the best. I'm going to come on later. I'll come on during the main card, dude. You guys are the best. I love you guys. Peace.